Rev up your engines! Today I'm going to show you how to diagnose and repair a misfiring vehicle. In this case, it's a Honda CR-V. As you can see when we start it up, starts kind of hard and it's running crappy. You can feel it shaking, you put it in gear, it's really shaking. And when you hook up the scanner and look at it, it's got P0301, P0302, and P0303, and P0304. So all 4 cylinders are misfiring. And when we go under the hood, we can feel it shaking, but I don't hear any vacuum leaks or anything. So now we have to use our brains. All the cylinders are misfiring, so it has to be something that affects them all. I didn't hear any massive vacuum leaks. I don't see anything disconnected. It could be the ignition system's got a major problem. This has a distributor, so it could be the cap, the rotor, or the distributor itself. It could be all the fuel injectors are bad, but that's rare. Could be a weak fuel pump. Could even be a blowing head gasket. But let's start logically. This system has a distributor cap and rotor that distributes the spark, so let's change that first. Distributor cap's got little 8mm bolts, so we'll get a little 1/4-inch socket, hook it up. There's 3 of them, so we'll remove all 3, start them up. As you can see here, there's 1, 2, 3. The bottom one you can barely see, it's hard to get to. The top ones are the easiest, so we'll start with them. Then we'll get the bottom one that's hard to get to, especially on a hot engine like this. Now in this case, the air box is in the way, so we gotta move that out of the way too. See, we got enough room now. We still don't. We gotta get this out of the way. That's out of the way. They sure make you take a lot of stuff apart. We gotta move this out of the way too. They don't want you working on these things. That over here so we don't lose it. And now, out it goes. And we can now get this out of the way. I'm hoping that this is shorting out inside. And we just pull off the old rotor and push the new one in place. Make sure it's nice and tight. And here's the new cap. Here's the old cap. Now you can switch them without screwing anything up. You can easily twist them off, put them back in here, make sure they snap. Make sure you put the same ones in, that one, and that one, and last but not least, that one. And now we can easily bolt the whole thing on. Goes right there. And now it's easier to get all 3, because we can reach them easy. What you want to do is put them in finger tight, one at a time. And now the bottom one's easier to get to, because we have more working room. And we get them nice and snug. Make sure they're all snug. Then we put it all back together again, put it all on, snap the filter top, and now we'll take it for a spin. And away we go on a road test. And I'm going to keep it in low gear here so it'll rev the engine up and try to burn carbon out of it. See what happens. Not running perfect, but it's running a little bit smoother, so I'm going to throw some cleaner in the tank. The fuel injectors might be a little bit dirty too. It's an old car. And now after running it with cleaner for about an hour, you can see it's hardly shaking at all. It's not perfect, but then again, hey, it's a beater car, 285,000 miles on it. It still has ice cold air conditioning. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Long Trunk says, question, what is the best used Audi Q5 to buy? Well, the best one to buy is one that your neighbor buys because they're horrible rolling piles of junk as they age. And you don't want to own one yourself. They are just endless money pits. They have been that way for decades. I worked on them in the 60s, and they were terrible cars back then to work on. They have such horrible designs from a mechanic standpoint, and they're all endless money pits. If you really, absolutely, positively have to have an Audi, lease one. You see how much money a lease is for a couple of years, get the shortest lease you can, drive it, you might love it because you don't have to pay for anything. It's on the lease car and it's new and it shouldn't break, and if it does, they got to fix it for free. But don't buy one, because if you do, and then when you're tired of fixing it after years, you'll get nothing for it and you've wasted all your money. Alvaro Franco says, what do you think of a 1998 Mitsubishi Montero Sport 3.0 liter? That it cost customer, and she loved those things, and she kept buying them, and they kept falling apart. And I said, why on earth are you buying these things? She says, well, I like the way they ride. They got speed and are high up in the air in Houston here, so if there's water. I said, yeah, well, Toyotas are that way too. She says, yeah, but I buy these things used, and the Toyotas are all 15 to 20 grand, and I can pick these things up for $4,000 or $5,000. I said, yeah, but they keep breaking down. In her defense, she bought 3 of them, but she only paid 4 or 5 for each one of them. She kept them for 2 or 3 years each, so I guess if you don't mind dealing with all that crap, but they really aren't very well-made vehicles. And when they get to be that old, their transmissions wear out, their engines wear out, they're not worth buying. Ross Taylor says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on Moog parts? Okay, Moog makes good suspension parts. It's a company that's been around for ages. I used Moog suspension parts when I was a young mechanic. It's a good company. They make decent parts, they're solid made parts. But like any other company these days, always look at the box they come in. Because, I don't know, maybe they're starting to farm their stuff out in China too. Personally, I wouldn't buy something that said made in China if it was a suspension part. I'd want a part that was made somewhere else. But if it says Moog and you get it and it's made in the United States, Canada, or someplace else, go right ahead and buy it. I still use a lot of their parts, but I do check the box. Because I don't trust anybody anymore. DJ Crank says, Scotty, 04 Chevy Tahoe, bought it used, radio doesn't work, no blown fuse, now what? The radios and those things, that thing's 16 years old. Why even bother? I would just remove the radio, throw the stupid thing away, get an aftermarket one. You can get an aftermarket radio for $60 that works fine, or you can get a nice decent Android for a couple $100 that does everything. And you say you're a DJ, so go get one of those new Androids. They just came out with another, I don't know what number it is now, 10.0 or whatever, they keep raising it up. And I'm trying one out now that a Chinese company sent me, and it so far works okay, and it's like $250. Go ahead and go that route. Premium Bass HD says, Scotty, thoughts of a 2006 Nissan Altima 4-cylinder, no CVT. Now, I'm not a Nissan fan now, but that's 2006. That was just a few years after Renault started taking over, and they didn't turn them into total crap. I got a customer that's got one of those. It's 4-cylinder, it's got a standard transmission in it, and it still runs like a clock. So, if it's in decent shape, maybe buy it. But it's 14 years old. Don't pay much. They don't have much resale value. Don't pay that much for it. But if it checks out and it runs good, you get it cheap. What the heck? It could be a good knockaround car. Rob M says, Scotty, will we ever get rid of ethanol in gasoline? Probably not anytime in the near future. It's a cheap way to add the octane level to knock it up. And of course, it's a political hot potato there. The farmers love it because now they can sell all their corn and they can grow the crappiest corn on earth because even the pigs aren't eating it now. If sweet corn people want to eat it, it's got to be tasty. The pigs, they'll eat anything. But now nobody's eating it. They're just turning it into alcohol. So I doubt it's going to disappear anytime soon. There's a little political mesh on that baby. Kai Torres says, Scotty, what do you think about a 1994 F-150? Are there any serious problems with them? Well, the only real serious problems with a 94 F-150 is that it's old as the hill. The thing's 26 years old. Really well-built trucks. They can last a long time, but they're trucks. People generally beat the heck out of them. If you find one, definitely have a mechanic check it out before you buy it. But if he says it's in decent shape, depending on the mileage, you don't want to pay too much, if it's really low mileage, you might pay a decent buck for it. But if it's got 150, 250,000 miles, don't pay much for it because it's old. But it can still be a decent truck. If you're looking for a truck that's solid and you see it's not rusted, the frame's not rusted, it can always be fixed and driven. Leroy Neff says, Scotty, the flag in a glass case, who does it belong to? Well, it belongs to me. My son gave it to me in Afghanistan, flying around in Chinooks behind a machine gun. They flew flags around and then they give them to the relatives, and that's the one that I got. So there it is sitting there from Afghanistan, and he really flew them around on missions. It wasn't some made-up thing like somebody who knows what people do these days. I know the truth behind it, that it flew around in missions, and then they folded up and brought him here, and we put him in a case. One Strick says, I have a 2013 Hyundai Accent with 120,000 miles. What should I look for? I'd look for a Toyota. Now, you're talking about keeping that thing. All right, well, you got it. It's got 120,000 miles. It's worth practically nothing if you try to sell it, so you might as well take care of it. Change the engine oil and filter every 5,000 miles. Change the transmission fluid every 40,000 miles. Don't overheat the engine. Change the coolant once every 5 years with the long life coolant. And just baby it. Don't let it overheat. Don't go fast quick, baby. You never know. Got 120 already. You never know how they're going to last. I got cars with the one that's got 220 and it's still running. A little clunky riding, but it still drives. Sam Bashis says, Scotty, what do you think of the new Chinese cars? Most of the Chinese cars now are made in newer factories and are higher tech. And everybody was worried that, oh, all the manufacturing jobs are going to go to China where they can make cars cheaper. They actually don't make them cheaper there. They're still sending stuff down to Mexico because the Mexican labor is still cheap. The Chinese labor is not cheap in these modern factories because most of their workforce have to be trained engineers that can fix robots, programmers. From what my European friends tell me, they have no problems. They're buying them and they're driving around a little SUVs and say they're cheaper and they work perfectly fine. So who knows? I'm sure they're going to be sending them over here soon en masse. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.